The issue of absentee ballots and absentee ballot applications in Michigan, it's become a big issue, not only in this state, but nationwide. President Donald Trump, he is the one that actually had an issue with this originally. Why don't you go ahead and show you right now? Take a look at this article. This was from NBC News. President Trump blasting mass absentee ballot efforts in Michigan. Now, President Trump originally said that ballots were being mailed out. It's not that, it's applications for ballots that are being mailed out in the state of Michigan. And I did confirm this 7.7 million ballots are being mailed out for absentee ballots in the state of Michigan. So they're mailing out the application, and then you fill out the information, and then you can mail in to get your ballot. And by the way, go ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing updates on the news and interviews and things like this that I do, so you're not going to want to miss it. Right down there, hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the little bell to get a notification when I go live. So here's the issue. I was contacted by a woman who lives in Grand Blanc, Michigan, and she tells me that she has lived in her home for 3 years. She's lived there for 3 years. Her name is Teri Chambers. She's lived in this home for 3 years. Just the other day, well, let's start back. It was several weeks ago. She had 3 absentee ballot applications sent to her home. 3 people who don't live in that home. They lived in the home 3 years ago. They had since moved. So she mailed the absentee ballot applications back to the state and said the people don't live there anymore. Yesterday, it was just yesterday when she got another drop in the mail, the same absentee ballot applications with the people's names on them again. So she's concerned that this could lead to fraud in the state of Michigan when it comes to voting in the election. Now, the officials say, Jocelyn Benson, Secretary of State, said there's no issue when it comes to fraud. This is actually safe. I interviewed her just a short time ago, not Jocelyn Benson. We did get a statement from the state of Michigan. We'll get to that in just a minute. Teri Chambers. I talked to Teri Chambers about all of this and her experience. I'm going to play the raw interview right now, so you're going to be able to hear it. Let me cue that up for you. Okay, so the story begins, what, a few weeks ago when you received application for absentee ballots?
Yes, the first round before the school bond voting that we did in May for the township, we received 5 in the mail altogether, and there's only 2 voters in my household.
Who were they? There were 2 for you and, I don't know, your husband?
Myself and my husband.
Okay.
And then there were 3 that I'm assuming were tenants that lived here before, because it was a rental house before we bought the house.
How long have you lived there?
So, almost 3 years.
Oh, okay, so you didn't just move in.
No.
Okay, so when you got those, you looked at it and you're like, oh, they don't live here. So what did you do?
I wrote on every envelope, these people do not live at this address, and I returned them.
And then you thought everything was good.
Right, I thought that would solve it. And then I, just a few weeks ago, got a whole nother set in the mail for those 3 people all over again.
And that would be for the next election coming up? For the next 2, I think it would be.
Yeah, since we didn't return the original ones that they sent out another set.
And you still have those, because obviously it didn't help when you mailed it back before.
Right, yes.
I'll find out. I'll ask the state what people can do with that. But what are you doing? I assume you're not opening them. You're just
No, they're just sitting with my mail. I don't know what to do with them. So other than, I suppose I could shred them, but I mean, that's not my mail. It's, it didn't work to just send them back the last time.
And those people, the people who are not getting that, I would hope, or I'm assuming they would hope, they actually somehow get those.
Right. Yeah.
What's the concern or the danger for this? What issues are there?
My concern is that, there's all these applications floating out there that anybody can sign them and send them back. Do we have the state resources to check every signature? Because a lot of my friends say, oh, they check all the signatures when you send them in. Do we have the resources to even do that in our state right now, especially with the way things are at the moment, with everybody being short-staffed? And, for God's sakes, people can't even get unemployment, and you're telling me Secretary of State is going to check signatures of every voter in the state that sends back an absentee ballot right now?
Yeah, so I'm gonna read you just if what they say. The Secretary of State spokesperson said 7.7 million registered voters received an application just like you got. This includes people who have previously been identified as possibly having moved, but who have not yet removed from the registration list in accordance with the multi-year process. Applications that are submitted must have a signature that matches the signature on the registration list to be considered valid and prompt the mailing of an actual ballot. And they go on to say ballot envelopes must also be signed with the matching signatures. Forging signatures, someone else's signature on an application is a crime. And they say it's rarely attempted. But your thing is, if there's 7.7 million going out, you would think it's very difficult to check everything.
Yeah, I would think with that number that it is. I mean, there's other things in our state that they can't seem to get a handle on right now. So this doesn't seem like a great process to me.
Is
My thought was, even if they had somebody send in a copy of their photo ID, their state issued identification with their address on it, that would help, to identify that it's the right person sending it in. And, regardless of which party somebody's voting for, it can go both ways. There's people that do things bad on both sides. So I don't think it's a party line thing. It's a flaw in our actual voting system in the way that they want to do things right now.
Yeah, when Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson testified a couple of weeks ago, I think they brought in instances nationally of both Democrat and Republican where there were issues.
Right.
So for you, it's not really it's not a political thing.
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
What's the solution? I mean, are you doing by absentee, or you're going to wait and actually go to the polls, or just?
I didn't return my absentee ballot. My husband did. But he's got more limited work hours and things to be able to get to the polls sometimes. So for him, it does make a little more sense. I don't think at this time I'm going to send mine in. I'll wait and see how things go. I think it's a great option. I mean, I know military people need it. There's a lot of voters out there that need the absentee ballots. I just think there needs to be a better way in our state to do it. I've talked to other people that said they have to show their identification in order to get their absentee ballot. If I walk into the poll, I have to show them my identification to get my ballot. So,
are you hearing, I know you posted on social media this, are you hearing from other people similar stories?
yes. Yeah, I actually have a friend right now that his wife received her absentee ballot at their home, and then her parents received one at their home that she hasn't lived in 24 years.
For the same person?
For the same person.
So two of them, or two applications.
Yes.
Okay. You would hope that would end up in just one, but basically it sounds
right.
like.
Yeah. So there's obviously a flaw in our system, because these people who I'm getting these for, maybe they've gotten them at their other address. But myself, I've moved many times over the years in the state of Michigan. I don't want absentee ballot applications with my name on them floating all over the place out there.
Yeah. So you would hope that all of it would be handled at the state level. So that's why it's good that you're saying to speak out now, just to bring the attention while we can.
Yeah, it's a system that needs to be fixed.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining. So there you go. That was the extended interview with Teri right there. And, a lot of times on television, you hear 10, 20, 30-second soundbite. But that's why I wanted to do this, to be able to let you into more about, to play the whole interview for you. But the state of Michigan, they released a statement, and I want to bring that up on the screen and show you as well. This is it right here. I'll read it to you. This was emailed to me from a spokesperson for the Michigan Secretary of State. And I'll read it. All 7.7 million registered voters in Michigan received an application from us by mail. This includes people who have previously been identified as possibly having moved, but who have not yet been removed from the registration list in accordance with the multi-year process required by federal law. Applications that are submitted must have a signature that matches the signature on the registration list to be considered valid, and prompt the mailing of an actual ballot. Subsequently, ballot envelopes must also be signed with matching signatures. Forging someone else's signature on an application and submitting it to receive a ballot is a crime, and the state says it's rarely attempted. The mailing of applications by the government This election does not make it easier than usual to commit such a crime, as the applications are also mailed by both political parties and many other organizations ahead of most elections. For years, the application form has also been freely available online for download. The issue with the person I interviewed, the Grand Blanc voter right there, is that 7.7 million of these are being sent out. How is the state going to police possible fraud if it were to happen? We will see as the election draws near. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson saying that there is no fear, there's no worry. And she said the reason for this is because of the pandemic. People should not be scared to go to the polls and vote when you have a virus that many experts are saying is extremely dangerous. And she says that even in November, this is something that we are going to have to consider. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button below. I'll give you updates all the time on news when I get it. Thank you very much, everyone.